Gene Ho, how are you doing, bud?
Man, thank you so much for getting me on the show. I appreciate it. And it's good seeing you again. I think we just saw each other last time where were we at? California? I can't remember where it was.
Yeah, we
But
were in California. We see each other a couple of, I think
yeah,
every few months.
yeah.
Um,
So it's really great to see you again. And thank you very much for having me on the show.
no, I've been wanting to, but we're always kind of clashing schedules, not able to make it and everything. I mean, you're a
No,
pretty busy guy.
this one, by the way, we took the longest time because this was about probably like a half year at least in the making. So finally glad a chance that we had a chance to make this happen.
Yeah, I appreciate it. But you gave me a couple of good interviews. I mean, you scheduled me with a couple of people that you know, which were
Yeah.
great interviews. I appreciated it and stuff. But you used to work for President Donald Trump. You took his photography, and that's how I heard about you in the first place. But other than that, you've never actually told me anything about you personally. And honestly, I'm one of them guys. I'm old school. I'm from the country, and we don't like to just know where somebody works. Would you mind telling me a little bit about you? Because I mean, for all I know, you could be a KKK member. I mean,
Okay. No. But I'll give you let me go the backwards route to it. So currently I am the editor-in-chief of George Magazine. So if you go to georgemagazine.com, you can check it out there. Previously, before that, I was Trump's photographer, his campaign photographer. For 2016, I was with him personally for about 2 years. And then 2020, for a time, I was with Donald Trump Jr. And so then between then, I did a stint with working at the Reawaken Tour as a speaker. But before that, I was a photographer. Joshua, if you can imagine it, a photographer for 25 years. So was very busy doing photography, all sorts of photography. And that's where we are today.
oh wow. I've tried photography. By saying trying photography, I've pushed the button a couple of times.
Oh, you know what? Here's the thing with that. Is one of the things that has come very naturally to me, and other things not so naturally. But it all worked out, and here I am today. And I tell you what, I love what I do, and I love what a lot of these people, and if I could say this movement in America, to wake people up and to get people to do their best, almost like what Kennedy said. That is, what can we do for our country? So lots going on in America.
Yeah, there is. I mean, they photography itself has gotten movements going. I mean, it's gotten presidents made and broken.
Here's one interesting thing, Joshua. There's a whole movement out there, which is strange for a photographer to be like that. But my job with Donald Trump, obviously, was to make him look as good as he can. And I would do that for anybody. But there's this whole movement in photography right now that, like these media companies, these mainstream media companies, they like the bad pictures. They want bad pictures, bad angles, bad lighting of Donald Trump. It's amazing that there would be people out there. Even if I was photographing Biden, I would do my best job at it. So it's just amazing what the influence that photography has in politics today.
Yeah, I don't get that at all. I mean, I've gotten into the habit lately because you see so much bad news out there. I quit watching not just mainstream media. I quit watching media altogether. In fact, every night for about the last 2 to 3 hours before I go to bed, I watch random acts of kindness for about 2 to 3 hours. I watch nothing but videos of people just doing random kind things because it helps me see that they're good. That I'm not the only good person out there doing things just to do good things.
No, I mean that's how I feel with a lot of this is going on. Is what we need to do in America is really get back to a time of understanding. And I do know that there's a lot of people, good people on the left even, and some, of course, on the right. I lean right and lean towards MAGA Nation. But I know there's a lot of understanding still to be made in America, and I think that's really important to talk about today.
Yeah, I mean, we don't. I don't have to agree with anybody, but that doesn't mean I have to hate them, and that's where I don't understand why where where we're taught we're supposed to hate. And when Donald Trump, he has shown plenty of times, and he's a very divisive person, his personality, but he's actually shown that there are good people on both sides. And when he says that, they automatically jump on him like, oh, look, he said there's good people on over here on the white supremacist side. And
Well, you
they
know,
run with it.
yeah, well, here's something very interesting with that. George Magazine did an article. We interviewed Hall of Famer Terrell Owens, who is a Christian. He's a really a good man. It's interesting though. He defended in the article. He defended Colin Kaepernick, which is interesting because I don't agree with Colin Kaepernick's point of view.
Yeah.
But I could tell you this: if there's going to be some understanding of it, I do appreciate that Colin Kaepernick put his own celebrity, his basically his celebrity on the line. He was persecuted for that. Now, trust me, I don't agree with his point of view, but the defense of, I won't even say the defense of him, but the understanding of it is, okay, well, this person believes it, and he's willing to put his reputation, his career on the line for it. And I think that's what we need to go back to in America, that what we need to get back to is, how can I say this, almost like a feeling that really, we don't always have to agree with each other, and we just need to stop the hate portion of it.
Yeah, if we would speak to hear instead of speaking to try to win a conversation and try to prove the other person that we're right and you're wrong, and we might get somewhere. Most of the time we're wanting the same thing. It's just that we're too busy arguing and fighting to try to prove the other person wrong and us right. And
No, I mean, I said to people before, I think what America needs to do is America needs to stop being divided. And a divided America doesn't mean that everyone, 100% of us, votes for Donald Trump. To me, that would be nice, but at the same time, I know that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
But what I would like to see in America is people understanding, okay, we have disagreements. You could kind of find I won't even say a common ground, but just to understand why a person thinks the way they do. And that's what we've been trying to do at George Magazine is even interviewing some people that people might not even like or may not agree with, and to try to get a different viewpoint out there.
Yeah. See why they feel that way. I would when BLM was really, really big, and I was a police officer at the time. I went and spoke to a few BLM members, or people that claim to be BLM members, that were real BLM supporters, I should say that, and asked them why they believed it. And to them, they had a very valid point. And they knew I was a police officer. Well, they didn't initially know I was a police officer. And if you listen to them, they had every right to believe what they did. But when we started talking about facts and everything else, they're like, well, I didn't know that. They had no idea that there were even violence coming out, that BLM was having riots and stuff like that. Most of that stuff was not even known,
Here's the thing, and I know you just talked about it. I have not researched much of Black Lives Matter at all. I have no contact with them or whatever. Yeah. But I just do know that people need a better understanding of different points of views, even points of views, quite frankly, that I disagree with.
Yeah, and that's what I was getting at, was that people didn't understand the different point. Even the people that were claiming to be supporters of it didn't understand the different points of views within that belief system. They believed it was one thing when even the founders believed it was a different. They were strong Christians and everything else, and very strong Americans and stuff, and they believed something different. It's like everybody's believing something totally different, and they're all fighting. And I'm like, that's why nobody's talking to each other. Everybody's just sitting there watching the TV and going along with whatever the TV says. And
Joshua, I'm telling you, this is really an interesting point here, because when I'm traveling, I have the satellite radio, and the I don't even know which stations it is, but the one that's super duper liberal left is right next to the one that's super duper liberal right. And I flip between the two because it's my job, I guess, if you could say it this way, it's my job to understand the issues on both sides of the matter. And, I see it. I'm obviously a Trump supporter. I obviously lean conservative with that. But you know what? I think what we need in America is a new dialogue where people could just talk to each other again. That's what we used to do, quite frankly, before Trump. We used to agree to disagree a lot of the times.
Yeah. Nobody wants to disagree. I have people that will sit there. I had somebody on Facebook the other day was calling somebody names, and I said, "See, that's the problem." I said, as soon as you start calling names, I back out of the argument, back out of the discussion. I was like, that's just pointless. And this person said, well, that we do exactly what they do. You fire with fire. I was like, no. I was like, that's ignorant. I was like, that's not how you get anywhere. They're like, yeah, it is. It's exactly how you win an argument. I was like, that's how it's not about winning an argument. That's why marriages fail. It's because it's all about winning an argument. I was like, it's not. It's about winning the battle for both of us. I was like, it's our country. It's we're not fighting left versus right. We're fighting for America. It's a marriage. We're all together, so we're trying to come to a resolution together. What makes us all work together? We're not if I had I was in a court case years ago, not criminal. It was a civil case. And my attorney told me, he said, the perfect case is when both sides are unhappy because you both walked away with it not being the way you wanted it. And that's pretty much what will happen is that both sides will say, yeah, it didn't go the way I wanted it to go. We're designed for laws to go slow. So when something goes fast, we know it didn't go right. We know something went wrong. Right.
And Joshua, even on the conservative right, even like MAGA Nation, I tell people all the time, and I get it, because what I call now the establishment Republicans, and I get it because MAGA Nation calls them rhinos or whatever. And I understand there's certain ones of them who are really like Republicans in name only. Not that that's so bad of a tagline. But I like to call them establishment Republicans. And there's some on the establishment Republican side think very nasty of MAGA Nation. And the thing is, what we need in America is just to get back to a place where we could understand that we have profound disagreements sometimes, but this is no time right now to be divided in America. And I see it. I really do see better times ahead for America because people are starting to see that.
Yeah, I do. I see people on. I have a buddy that's very, very, very far. I don't even like saying left or liberal now. We used to be so divided. It was back when I'm ashamed of myself because I was a bigot. If you were a Muslim, I hated you. I was that guy. Me and him got into it. I remember us getting into a fight because of Rolling Stone said something about Trump, and me and him got into it. Well, we ended up, I changed my ways since then, and now we're friends. We just don't talk about politics. But I don't, obviously I don't hate Muslims. I don't hate anybody now. And I told him, and I've reversed that decision. I said, that's stupid, But he's even come along the way and stuff. Like he even said, Obama's a traitor, and I was like, what? And he starts talking about how we need to look at things like, well, this is not good for the country. It doesn't matter if it's the left or the right. It matters what are they doing for the country? If it's corrupt, it's corrupt. If it would have been my side, it would still be corrupt.
Right. No, I see that's, what I've been trying to tell people, and this is going back to it because for the longest time, MAGA Nation, I can say it like that. Well, MAGA Nation would be very critical of mainstream media, and I still am. I'm critical, and I don't mind calling them out. But at the same time, what we don't want to turn into is the same thing that we are accusing the left of doing. And I think what that does is it starts with, we need to have a united America. I can see it. I feel we're very close to it, because I feel this election is going to be very interesting, because I feel like there's a lot more support, more than ever, for Donald Trump. And I'm not saying that the world goes around by him being elected again, but I do feel people are starting to see his viewpoint on things. And there's certain things that people might not like about him. But I tell you what, he did a really good job in 2020. So he fixed a lot of things in America. Yeah,
regardless, I tell people that it's like my veterinarian. When I was younger, I have a service dog now, but my last service dog, he had died. He lived to be 16 years old.
Beautiful. Oh my goodness, I see. I seen your service. Oh my.
Oh goodness. Yeah. My last service, my service dog now. She's a pit bull, and my last one was a pit bull also. Because they were the best dogs I've ever had. They're very loyal.
I don't know if you do this. You should show your audience pictures, like I guess later on or next time. But you're very, very, very cute service dog.
Oh yeah. Her name's Liberty, and she's blue. She's a beautiful dog. Anyway, my veterinarian, he a complete asshole. Very much so. He's an asshole, but I hired him for this job because he is so good at his job. He does what he's supposed to do, and he's not afraid to be an asshole to me. Regardless if I want to hear it or not, he tells me what I need to hear. And that's the way I want my president. When Donald Trump was in office, regardless if I wanted to hear it or not, he did what was necessary. I didn't expect a guy that grew up rich to act like a poor guy. I didn't expect him to act like somebody that wasn't a boss, and people are expecting things of him that is unreal.
Here's a great story, Joshua, on this, because I love to tell this story, because when I was a photographer, there were some times, he was I won't say a difficult boss to work for. He was a demanding boss to work for. And there was times, and I didn't like to hear it. I was a photographer for over 25 years. I knew my craft very well. And there was times where he would say, let me look at the back of your camera. So I show him the picture that I just took of him. And there was times where he was like, that's horrible. That's horrible. And I'm like, okay. I didn't like to hear it. Quite frankly, I had tons of excuses. The lighting was not what I wanted. I didn't have the time to do it. But there was also times when I did a great job for him. And he was like, pat me on the back and says, nice job. That looks great. So, I never faulted him for any of that, because, quite frankly, it did make me a better photographer. It made me a better worker by understanding what he liked and didn't like.
Yeah. He made our country great. I watched him under a microscope, and he was the first president that I watched in a lot of different viewpoints. When he came to Tulsa, when COVID first started, and he was at the BOK Center, and of course they set him up to fail. I saw it firsthand, so I know they set him up to fail. They started putting these stickers on every other seat that you couldn't sit there, so it automatically cut the BOK Center in half. And then they tell people, oh, well, half the people showed up.
I remember that was, I remember that.
Yeah, I'm like, of course half the people showed up, because half the people couldn't get in. And then, and the media would put their masks on in front of the camera, but they take their mask off when the camera wasn't showing. But I got to see him in front of the stage, in front of the people, the way he spoke to people. And I also seen him in when he was in front of the media, talking to the media. And I also saw him at a conference table when he's talking to people. He always spoke differently depending on who he's in front of, because he was speaking to the audience that he needed to speak to. And when he was talking to at a rally, he was rallying the troops. He was funny. He was hilarious. He was getting people going. When he was talking to the media, he was baiting them, he was fishing them, he was getting them riled up and getting them mad, doing exactly what he was supposed to do. But when he was set there at a conference table, he didn't care if you were left, right, blue, purple. He did not care. He would ask you what your problem is. Then he would turn to the guy on his left or right and said, "Can you fix this?" And he would fix it right then. He didn't ask you if you were a left-leaning person, a right-leaning person. He didn't care. He fixed the problem right then and there. He didn't wait and say, well, we might be able to get to it later. He fixed it when he could.
Very, very interesting with that, with the media. And that's why the media doesn't like the rally so much, because the person that you see there at the rally, I tell people this all the time. When you're at a rally, you are closer to Donald Trump than the media is. If you go there and you look behind you, that's called the media pit. That's where the media is, and they get escorted into a small area for a small amount of time to ask questions to the President of the United States. Now, here's the interesting thing about that is when you go to a rally, you are actually closer in proximity to Donald Trump. You know Donald Trump more intimately than the media. So with all these things with the media, it's very interesting that exactly what you said, he's talking directly to the people, and that's what makes him so popular.
Yeah, he was. I did not initially in 2016. I did not initially vote for Donald Trump because I was like, "Who's this guy?" You know, I'm not one that likes. I'm more of an underdog type of guy. I don't like showboats. You know, I was a Ben Carson guy. Later on, I started thinking about Ben Carson. I'm like, well, smart guy, ethical, but he probably couldn't negotiate his way out of the paper sack. Not a bad guy. I'm not saying anything bad about him, but he's too ethical that compromise would not be something he'd be good at. But whenever I saw Donald Trump work, before he even became president, he was negotiating and I remember him getting the Ford guys their jobs before he even became president. You know, he was helping people.
Yeah. I mean, that's what, I know Ben Carson. I spent time with him. And so I know him. He's a very good man. But really, the reason why I like Donald Trump so much, and I've seen it from the beginning, is he does. I mean, you cannot underestimate what he has done. And I said this earlier today, but remember going back to the Reagan days. And by the way, I was a supporter of Bill Clinton. But Reagan said something interesting. He goes, "Are you better off than you were 4 years ago?" And he was going after re-election. He won it by a landslide because he was right. He really improved people's lives. And what people are going to be faced with this election cycle is basically this. Are you better off now than you were 4 years ago? And people are going to say, you know what? Listen, I have people, even my friends, they say, listen, I voted for Biden the first time, not again. And they're going to vote Trump, even though, quite frankly, they don't even, they might not like him because he's rough around the edges or whatever. But hey, you know what? He makes a very, very effective president.
Yeah. Yeah. Under Trump, I was making, I had just quit my job as a salesman because I could afford to do it. And I was making $15 an hour, taking care of a family of 4, and was able to do that. And now I make $20 an hour, taking care of a family of 3, because now my son lives with his biological father, and we're about to lose our house. I'm in a bad situation under Biden. I mean, we can't afford it, and I'm making $20 an hour. I'm making more money, working more hours, and we can't do it. We can't afford it.
I do see that many people in America are feeling the same way, and that's why I really believe it. And I know that you and I both travel a lot, but with these gas prices, there's no way you could escape that. Yeah. For example, when the hotel I travel, I probably spent months out of the year, I don't even know, maybe 150 days on the road. And when you go there, if you want to save money with it, I can get a lesser hotel room. I can go from the Hilton or the Embassy Suites or whatever and go down and stay at the Hilton True or whatever. I could do that. But you can't do that with gasoline. If your car takes premium or 93, you could suffer a little bit and buy 87, but after that, you're buying gas at what you're buying gas at.
Yeah.
And so it's been very difficult for American families.
Yeah, yeah, it's been very tough, and that's actually what's got a lot of people that were voting, where they were all pro Biden, and now they're like, yeah, we've had to keep buying fuel, and it's gotten worse, and and I have a lot of friends that were Biden supporters that are no longer. They said, I won't vote Democrat ever again.
Right.
Because they didn't pay attention to politics. They've always told me I don't pay attention to that stuff, and I kept telling them, I was like, you may not pay attention, but it pays attention to you. It's gonna catch up to you eventually, and you're gonna have to see what's going on. Because I remember in the '90s. I mean, you're just a little bit older than me. I don't know. You age well, but but in the '90s, it was rock the vote, and I remember the Democrats were saying, vote no matter, even if you don't pay attention, just vote anyway. That's what teachers would tell us, vote anyway. And I'm like, that's dumb. I thought that was dumb then, and and they're still telling people to do that, and I'm like, no, look and to see what people are standing for, what's really going on. I mean, if there's consequences to actions, shutting down a pipeline will cost people money, like our jobs and our gas lines, and it's just our fuel prices quadrupled as soon as they shut off the pipeline, and we're paying for it. Our food prices, when they say inflation only went up by a few percent, I'm like, yeah, right, then how come my grocery bill has tripled? I'm like, if it's only gone up this much.
I feel you on that. I feel you.
But your time is coming up, and I try to be a respecter of time.
You know what? Listen, I appreciate this very much, and I appreciate the opportunity to talk to your audience. And like I said, if you want, please check out georgemagazine.com. You can see a lot of good stuff there, and you can get a subscription. And also, if you see me traveling, I still do events around the country leading up into Election Day. So. And I'm sure I'll be seeing you around.
Oh yeah, most definitely. We're going to Michigan, I believe, in June.
Yes.
So I'll see you there, right?
Yeah, I will be. I'm planning on being there, and I look forward to it. And I tell you this, with everyone in your audience, I really feel that better times are coming in America. It is particularly dark at this moment, and it doesn't seem very stable around the country, but I think things are going to get better.
I agree with you. I've never called myself an optimist, but I've been let's just say I've been studying a lot, and we create our future a lot more than we think we do, and our future is looking a lot brighter than we really believe it is. And I really see things going to be a lot better this coming year, and this coming couple of years. It's going to get a lot better.
I do believe so. I do believe so, and I also think that this has also a lot to do with Jesus. I believe that he has taken an active role in our affairs today, and so with that, I have confidence.
Most definitely. Well, tell your family I said hello, and I will. Hopefully, they'll be up there.
Yes, and I can't wait to see her. I can't wait to see your puppy again. I hope you. By now she's probably pretty big now, but
yeah, she's gained a few pounds, so she'll definitely be bigger by then.
All right.
Hopefully, a little bit better trained.
Thank you. No, very well behaved, Joshua. Thank you very much for having me on.
Thank you. You have a blessed one, okay, sir?
You too.
Hey guys, I want to personally thank everyone for liking and sharing my videos. If you want to continue to see my content, all you got to do is press that subscribe button, and I'll notify you as soon as a new video comes out. I don't get paid for any of this, so if you want to buy some of my merch, like my shirts like Jesus is a Badass or my Don't Be a Dick shirt, you can easily go to my merch store, which is at sogtv.org, which I will have it in the description at every video. So push that, go buy yourself a shirt. I appreciate it. Have a blessed day, and I will see you at the next episode. Thank you.